And they were like.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry to disturb you guys. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Board Oversight Committee. It is 6:35. We are going to begin. All right, ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board oversight or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand, wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon. You will find the raise hand function there. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Please keep your questions, comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subject of the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We are now calling our meeting to order.
Please answer present. Jose Altamira,
Present.
Rosa Diaz,
Present.
David Giordano,
David, sir.
Nelson Rama,
Present.
Russell Schuler, Eric Stanton,
Present.
Sandy David Vasquez.
No.
We have Paul.
Thank you, Angel. We are adopting tonight's agenda. We'll also approve last month's meetings, which everyone is privileged to see. If we're going to do that by omission. Sorry, pleasure. So no one is against that. So with that, I'm moving forward. Now we have announcements, informational updates.
Thank you, Chair. So Earth Day, the 5th annual Earth Day conference, April 22nd from 10 to 2 p.m. at the Museum of the City of New York. Everyone is welcome, a lot of presentations, environment, awareness and justice. And also, if you haven't heard it, you want to?
No, okay.
So good. Okay.
I'm tired of saying it all.
Let me just say that there's a free event, community celebration on Saturday, April 18th from 12 to 4 p.m. The Davis Center at Harlem Mere and 110th Street and Malcolm Boulevard. From 12 to 4 again, there's going to be a lot of friendly games for kids, yoga with multitasking yogi, art in the park is going to be there, after vinyl supreme, etc., etc. And David.
So we also have participatory budgeting. Thank you again for sending it out and reminding people again. For many of you know, participatory budgeting has been around for maybe about 15 years now in New York. Originally started in Chicago, but many of our council people put $1 million in. Fortunately, ours puts $2 million in. One for the East Harlem portion and one for the South Bronx. Also, because Elsie has been a big advocate of youth, all her projects are for DOE schools and to benefit schools that are much needed in our community. The voting started on the 11th. It ends on the 19th, so we still have a couple of days. Sunday the 11th, the 19th. We have a polling site at Lexington Academy. There's another polling site. Rose is a roving polling site. And there's a polling site at the councilwoman's office in this district. We are also going to be going around to parks on Saturday. We're going to the mall to try and maximize. The projects, again, are all this community. You can vote on 3 of the 12 projects. You can vote for East Harlem or the South Bronx. But whoever wins in each part of the district, that district gets 1 million. So it's really fortunate. Many of the projects are 500,000, so they will fund up to 1 million. So it's more than likely 2 projects could be funded from our community as well. I guess I got to say, there is Lexington Academy where I do work at, so I would disclose that. We are also having kids being polled as poll workers and being paid to do that. So I think that's a great opportunity. And I would just say this, some of our kids who can vote, you're 11 and up. 5th grade classes are 10 and 11 years old. So we have been going into the classrooms as well and doing it as part of a civic engagement. And what we did is let everybody vote. The 10-year-olds voted on a separate sheet and the different and didn't submit their ballots, but that the ones that are 11 and up and did, so that everybody, but what it really did for me is like, I'm in the school building. I've done all this work on community board. We should be providing some civic engagement, lesson planning for the school, and I plan to do that next year as we approach it. So thank you, Rosa. But I also want to make notes that tomorrow night we have a Stop the Hate event at Lexington Academy. Children's Aid Society and Not Another Child are working in collaboration with the Hispanic Federation to work on reducing violence in our community and date hate. That will be tomorrow from 6 to 8. Our new borough president, Brad, will be there as a panelist. Elsie is trying to make it through, so it looks like it's going to be a good night. There'll be panel discussions. Kids are the facilitators, so please come out and support our kids if you can. Should be a good event. Thank you.
And to add,
Sure.
And to add, yes, 007, which is in 120th Street, between Lexington and Third Avenue, we're also having a lot of ballots. Just drop by from 7:30 a.m. all the way to 7:30 p.m., including Saturday and Sunday. Reach out to me if you're having any difficulties.
Does anyone else have any announcements or? That's great, sounds good. Hopefully we'll see which one of these projects, we'll get that funding. Exciting. So we're gonna move forward now and we'll go into our presentation discussion. Really is our continual conversations that we're having. Did we start with what attendance looks like? I think that's just a good way to start for everyone. See if anyone has to be brought in, discussed, conversated.
Give me a minute.
No, very sticky time at times. In the meantime, this is something Angel sent me a flow chart. Funny enough, like AI is useful for some things, but completely useless for other things. And I ended up having to make this in the most basic of formats in Paint.
You formatted with this, right?
No, I had to do it manually by Paint. It's the only thing. I'm gonna fix it up to make it look nicer, but nothing really was making the flow chart work. Particularly because it's a text within a shape and it would either, but it works. I think it's a good start. So while we figure this out, we can start looking at it. This is based on something that Angel brought up, which I really enjoyed because it's like a logic flow chart, right? And basically it can start in one of two ways. And next time I'll have numbers. It can go where the board member goes to the chair, and we could also include the district manager there, right? And they attempt to resolve the issue, which is at the very top. And if it's resolved, it goes to green, perfect. If it's not resolved, it continues, right? An EEO matter is of more of harassment, something of more and that would go directly to the borough president's office. There's a department in the borough president's office which deals with that directly. So that is not something that we will engage or look at in whatever reason. The other way it could start is if the member comes directly to this committee. Let's say the complaint is with the chair, as a board member, because he's also a board member. Just take the example. Or he just doesn't want to go to the chair and he wants to come directly. Whatever that person wants. We want to make it as open as possible so that the member feels, feels very confident in that we're here to help in whatever case we want.
Inclusive and transparent, right?
There we are.
Yeah.
So they want to come directly to us and they come that way as well. Again, if it's NEO matter, we send it to the borough president's office. If it turns out that it is NEO violations confirmed, then the borough president will give direction to the board, whether the board then votes. And funny enough, I would have thought that the borough president for something like that could remove a member directly.
I guess it depends on what's confirmed via their investigation.
Yeah, and that was a question I had.
Yeah, I think it would depend on.
Because we may have to give it another step just in case. It would be nice that if it was an EO and it was
You
confirmed.
developed this.
Yeah.
This, okay, I didn't know if this was standard.
No, this is based on something that
Yeah.
that Angel provided me with, and then we just basically tweaked. It's just that I had wished that I would have been easier to tweak, but it's okay. Yeah, and this top right, I got rid of, it's nothing. But, so that's if that's an EO matter, right? Now, if it's not an EO matter, that's when this committee comes more into play. We have to determine, if there is bylaw, violation. And based on our bylaws, what would be the disciplinary action? From there, would go to full board. And a vote for like all committees, right? There's a vote, and then we would notify that particular person what. If the disciplinary action can vary, right? It could be expulsion, it could be, I don't know what else it could be, but it could be a variety of things, I would imagine. Maybe a warning, and that was another.
Yeah, you could have mediation depending on the level of the infraction that's found by the committee after their review, right? But some things are, just making stuff up, like could be a misunderstanding or a difference of opinion. Something that can be kind of sorted out amongst the committee mediating the two different parties. To something that's grievous, and then you have to make another decision and figure out how to proceed, whether it needs to be heard by a third party, et cetera. And then what to do with the information that comes back from the third party person.
There,
I guess it could also maybe be like separation, like removing someone if there's two people on a committee having a problem, like removing the person.
absolutely.
Or both.
Yeah, or both of them, right? So, and I guess that's something, if in theory, the chair can
That's something we
do
would
that,
prefer with
but
this.
still also maybe something that feels more like we're recommending it, versus it just like for the sake of the process. And then maybe offering it to the member to like choose to do it versus them being directed, okay, now you are no longer on this board.
Right.
Does that make sense to them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I always think is when we have a situation, right, two people, both equally right, both equally wrong. The decision is made to remove one from the committee or both. See, if we remove one, we're punishing the other who's not removed, right? So, are they both then removed? Just. If they're all playing equal, right? I mean.
But I think it's good to, and we can kind of give it a little more detail, but I think it enables us, it's in our benefit to leave it somewhat vague, because then it allows us flexibility, right? It allows us to interpret other things, but I do think after this particular step, the no, it says here, basically at the bottom there, the screen doesn't show it well.
I can show that.
Perfect. So after that red no, we can then stem it out. We can have, I mean, honestly, we should have them both come in, right? That's a step that we take here. This oversight would bring them both in, whether we can bring them individually or together, hopefully, depending on the situation, right? If it's not so egregious, as Andrew pointed out, we can bring them together. Hopefully we can mediate. It doesn't even have to go to full board. A lot of times people want to be heard, and when they're heard, things kind of can get smoothed out. But
And they would have to agree to me.
And they would have to agree with me. If they don't want to meet again,
Right.
then we go on our
Whatever
process of going to. And this is just like a real rough draft.
No, this is good. I actually thought it came from the borough, but,
It was based on something where staff members having an issue with board members,
Yeah.
right? And then we just kind of tweaked it around.
Yeah,
to make-
CB3 has a lot of processes, and the one that I shared with Jose was one, is from them, and then Jose just
oh, okay.
moved it around
Yeah.
to have this draft unit.
Am I,
And I love where it's yes, no, because then we're like, it's very simple for us to kind of
move
navigate.
to the
that.
next process?
I think it's good too for the members, like once we have something established, that just, like I found CB3s on their site, right? So, and I'm a stranger to their board, like if their members definitely know. And then if a member is having an issue with, another member and they're not exactly sure what to do, well, it says it right here, this is what the process is, at least they'll understand what the process is. And like, it's not nothing. I think.
But it gives direction.
Yeah.
It's like having it's like knowing your rights, right?
Yeah,
You're like, oh,
right,
okay,
exactly.
good.
I think it's reassuring in a sense, like the board is thinking about this for us.
And we can have this in a settle where it could be Board member, was it, here's very random, board member could be board member with staff, staff with board member, which we kind of already have, we can do. Or a committee member, with committee chair, it could be like, kind of, you know, we're not gonna get crazy, because we'll get a little too much, but I think we can have a couple variations, you know, we can think of them. Because honestly, once we have them, the process starts becoming simpler, because at this point I can copy paste this, move it around. Obviously make the font a little bigger, like some
Yes,
fonts is bigger,
please.
some are. But I didn't know how big, I didn't know how big it was going, I didn't know how big it was going to expand, but now, like, now that I know the general idea, I can, you know. There's a lot of space.
Right, but yeah, no.
Yeah, there's a lot of space. It was just a matter of like, I just wanted to have something visible here so that we could kind of like get to that.
Have we had a lot of? I mean, we don't always get along, but we haven't really had.
What's the rest of the sentence?
I'm gonna try to
Something
think of
that
the right
that's.
frame it.
Have we had issues amongst board members?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely.
Have they become formal?
Yeah.
So they, for, when they've come up, people have gone to the borough president.
Okay.
Um,
We've seen some.
Yeah. And if they've been brought here, let's say, for example, they've been brought to leadership, which is the chair, right? And then the chair either speaks to those people or it's, you know, it's up to the chair of the leader of the organization to make a call as to like how they want to proceed. For lack of us having something else.
Right.
Process. Yeah,
I think this is good.
we don't have a ton, we haven't.
Right.
Had a ton of member to member issues that have risen to the level of I've become aware of them, right? Cause maybe members just talk to each other, like, or just kind of swallow it.
Yeah, I think that's like more of that.
Yeah, you know, so there haven't thankfully been many that, you know, like I've been copied on something or like, hey,
And you have to get
you know,
involved.
they chair and you. So thankfully there haven't been, and we've been able to kind of work our way through those. I think, yeah, I think having a process is better.
Oh, I agree, because then it leaves it up to less interpretation of what we do. This is what we do.
Yeah, and then members that, like, for example, taking this as member, right? Members that aren't in the know yet. They're still figuring out the boards. For them to be able to like, oh, it's this, I'm like, okay, so I can just go to Jose's committee or, I can go to this person.
No, I think it's good. Good job.
I also think that, as we saw last year, a lot of the maybe feelings that members had where they weren't agreeing were spilling over into committee meetings and full board meetings and was interfering with the work. And I don't think people are always so eager to go to the borough president, right? So I think one of the ideas was that this would give that a forum where people felt they could go and express themselves, and we can compartmentalize it from the board work. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping that this is never needed, but when it is, it's a safe place or safe as can be.
I mean, particularly when the borough president wasn't doing anything about it. So then, like, that way, we just can like.
We have to have our own process.
We just say what it is, right? So that way we can kind of, because if they do nothing, then we get December where it's an explosion at a full board committee and, you know, and it's an issue, you know, it's an issue for us to conduct our business. So this way we can give them the process and we can assure the board members saying like, look, any conversation here, we would go into executive where there's no recording, let them know that like everything will be technically off the record because they may not feel comfortable being recorded and being shown to everyone,
Yeah, right.
you know, online.
I think going back to something Angel had said about sometimes it's about misunderstandings or people have strong opinions and I don't agree with those opinions. I'm interested too, like at that beginning where you have attempts to resolve issue between the people. Like I think it would be good to explain that too once we know what our process is, because I think the best part would be all we have to do in the flow chart is this part. And we don't have to then go out to the rest of it where it involves like formal actions and full board votes. Because I do think, we're talking about issues that people are really passionate about, that have their strong opinions about. And I think sometimes that's what causes the conflicts. and helping people refocus on like the work, and that consensus doesn't mean we all agreed. It means we got to a point where everyone said what they needed to say.
We should
And we
also,
move forward as a committee or a full board, and I think that would be really helpful.
I think it's also important for the board members to understand that these kind of complaints can't be because you voted yes, I voted no.
Right.
Yeah.
On a project. That's not what this is about. This is a more like, this is a different kind of, if there's a serious conflict. And should that kind of animosity exist, we'll have to explain to them, be like, I'm sorry, but everyone here is enabled to their opinion, and how they vote is their choice. We may not agree to it, but that is still not the reason to start this process.
I think about the situations that started like that and then blew up and then turned into other things.
Yeah.
Is sort of why I brought that up. Yeah.
And why we can actually ask people if they're willing to come in, should we see
Yeah.
that? You know, and that's what this committee is. This committee won't be just passive waiting for them to come. We'll be active. Like if we see something happening at a committee and we're aware of it, we'll act separate now. If they choose to come in, that's a different story, right? We can't force people to come in. But then we can then talk to our chair, talk to the borough president's office, because we can't allow that kind of thing to like continue, but then it infests us and we don't get the work done. So we kind of skipped an order, but still, it's the same thing. It's still all good. I hope that you guys can like, I think this is like a first rough draft, but I really enjoyed like the logic chart of it. When Angel said to me, I was like, oh, I love it. We were sitting, I was like, I love this. It's like computer engineering going back to me. I'm like, yes, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And we're gonna expand on this, and we'll let, you know, and hopefully we can have this done by the time we get our new members in, which by the look of it will probably be June. It won't be next month.
Not May. Just
I
later.
know. It'll probably be June from what we hear so far, but whether it's May or June, you know, it gives us time to kind of, I'm gonna work on it a little more. If you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. Cause again, like we're doing the work together, but we'll have to do it like throughout the month, so that for next month, we can have something more. And we can change this as we go along. Like nothing we do will be cemented. Like if we find a great idea, then we'll implement that.
Would this have to become part of the bylaws eventually? No.
No, but we can show it on our website, you know, we can give it to the new members in their packets, be like, listen, if you have an issue, this is the process that you should follow.
I think the one thing would maybe be not change the bylaws, but just referencing at like what point it does become like the stuff that's in the bylaws, stuff possibly removing.
It has it there, it says it violates bylaws.
Right. So
So it'll say like if it's an EO or a
Yeah.
bylaw violation, because I think those
Yeah.
are the only two that we can
Exactly.
really look at.
Yeah.
So everything going down would be bylaw based, and the disciplinary action would be bylaw also based. We'll have to look.
I wonder if code of conduct too, because we're privy to that. The borough president's code of conduct.
That's a good point.
Right, because that's how we should conduct ourselves.
Yeah.
And it could be violating those basic.
Yeah,
Bring that in.
You can't be in the meeting like screaming bloody murder or that kind of thing.
That could be like a C situation to like, it could be bylaw, code of conduct,
Yeah,
EO.
and that's the one.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. That'll be our C.
Bylaws reference that, like you have to conduct yourself.
But I think it's good to make it more obvious, because a lot of
Yes.
our
Yeah, I
issues
agree.
won't be bylaws. It'll be code.
Forgive my ignorance. Why would a volunteer member have equal employment opportunity complaint?
That's how they call a sexual harassment complaint, to my understanding. That's the reference that we're being given.
Equal employment opportunity?
I don't know why. I would be happy to change that language.
It might be having to do more with hiring that way.
Yeah, it does.
So there's, but it's like Jose's saying, like, so EEO is used as the shorthand for that. So like if there's a member that is accosting a staff member, if there's a board member that's being accosted by another board member, then that would fall under that umbrella.
Because you guys are employees and we are not.
What do you mean?
No,
Like
even
equal
as,
employment opportunity is like if someone didn't get the job because of the.
No, I understand. Yeah, I understand that. What I was saying is that the term EEO is used as shorthand for like all that sexual harassment stuff. So like underneath that, like that's where, like if someone's harassing somebody else, it's not spelled out sexual harassment or LGBTQ stuff. It's just, they just use EEO as a short term. Does that make sense?
I had the same question.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
him, so.
So it's not, it is not specifically
You're
about,
not, like, not at all. I
It
was
is-
like, what?
it is not specifically about equal employment. It's just being, this term is just
It's
being used there
falling
as a short term.
I think it's partially because like, I'm trying to think like in my job, like the EEO office has the Title IX officers.
Mhm.
Like the people whose job is to do that stuff
Yeah.
about like the sexual harassment.
Right.
And in the borough president's office, it's also an EEO.
Yeah.
Department that would handle it.
Handle all that stuff.
So that's why it's labeled under EEO.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I was like, what?
But, since that's brought up.
Sure.
And we can share the EEO policy from the borough president's office that we subscribe to, so everybody understands like what falls under that. One thing that's, and one of the reasons why I've been pushing for us to establish something like this is because there isn't, and because the members are volunteers, they can't be fired. And how do I say this nicely?
Just say it.
There's no accountability for members when it comes to misbehavior towards a staff member. So if I misbehave with one of my coworkers, there's a process for that. If a board member misbehaved with one of the staff members, there's no process. If a board member misbehaved with another board member, there's no process. There's nothing, right?
And what about like a staff member to a board member?
Yeah, so like
That's a
we're,
process.
yeah, like we're three here, so the three of us and the chair are required to do all these EEO trainings, right? So sexual harassment, LGBTQ, et cetera.
We all have.
All this stuff, right? Like you do in many other organizations, you know, like for employees, right? And for supervisors, that's not required of board members. So, yeah, so my suggestion was like, we should have something because you all as a collective are our employer. So, and we know that, of course, but I don't think the members always know that, other than when they want to boss you around. But when they need to be responsible, they aren't, you know, like, it's like, seems to not be in front of their mind. So having something in place, I think is good for the members to reinforce that you have a responsibility to your charge, which is the staff. You have a responsibility to each other, who are your colleagues, right? Like we already know we have a responsibility to each other as staff members, and the chair knows he has a responsibility to us as, you know, his charge, right? But the rest of the members, I think, need to as well. And having something in place is good for that unfortunate circumstance when something happens. Thankfully, we haven't really had that. But should that happen,
It is having it in place, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think this is good. It's a great start. I don't think we even have to tweak it much.
Yeah. I'll email the thing. We have it printed on the report if you ever wanted to look at it. We're required to do that.
So we'll do like board member to board member, which is this, we'll do staff to board member and board member to staff, that way, you know, because what Angel says is correct, like board members have to understand that they have to be professional with staff. There was a time back where my vice chair was like pretty much like bullying or like driving my liaison crazy. My liaison was not letting me know and giving her an extreme amount of work. She was trying to keep up with the work, but couldn't, and I didn't even know until later. And there was like, I see some energy, some bad energy, and when I approached it, then we had to resolve it. And I explained that the liaison works with the chair, and I never have done that before because I'm very open with whoever my vice chair is. Like it talks to the liaison, but at that particular moment, I was like, I'm sorry, the liaison works with the chair. So if you have anything for the liaison, you come to me. Don't speak to her or him or whatever. So it does happen. And it happens more frequently in the direction that he was explaining, where it's a board member
Towards the staff.
towards the staff and the staff necessarily.
It doesn't have any recourse.
And now they're kind of like, well, this
Go to
person ain't complaining, and for, you know, he's just like,
For the most part, that's not the issue, but it has happened at the list, yeah. And in those instances, we're like,
And we would like to have something to protect our staff as well.
Yeah.
You know, we need the board members to understand that they need to conduct themselves in a certain way, that they can't just voila.
We're no better.
No, sir.
And just also reminding them that the board is not here to do personal work for board members, nor should they be asked to do anything in private, kind of matter, like doing this or doing that, or could you do me this, because that's inappropriate. And so not only is it just the behavior with the staff, is asking the staff for, their, or using, board stuff for their own private use, or requesting people to run off personal flyers and things like that, and I can go on and on, but.
All right, no more laundry duty.
Yeah, that's been washed, but that just happened.
Does the code of conduct reference the responsibility members have to the staff?
I would have to review it again.
But if not, I mean, I think maybe that is something we should put into writing, because then if someone does violate it, you can point to a thing versus just assuming people know how they should behave. It just gives us a little bit more
Absolutely.
strength.
Absolutely, and that's why we wanna have it, because that way everyone has that responsibility, so if we have to, if it's not there and we have to.
Yeah.
Kind of, I mean, a lot of it will be similar, so we'll just have to maybe change the language and sentence. Okay, so everyone's happy, we'll move forward hopefully, so like, again, look at it and we will, next month have something, sure.
And then we're meeting next week, me, you and Angel, at 1 PM on Microsoft Teams with city law. Just, so I guess we can share that with this, to them, because they want, we just want them to sign off on us handling these processes internally.
Oh, right.
So that just, I figured I'd mention that now. So
Just so that we are refreshed, there was some confusion as to whether and it's interesting because sometimes the borough president says, you guys are independent, you guys govern yourselves, and then for other situations are like, shackled. So, in this situation, it comes to something like that, but our interpretation, which will get more clarity with city law, will be that like, we're giving the members an option to come. They don't have to come to this committee. If they choose to go to a third party and that's what they want to do, we have no issue with it. But we would still always try to do it internally first, as it would be in any like business or job or anything. You would first try to fix it internally, and if it can't be fixed, then you kind of go forward. But that's the clarity, and we've been waiting for that for quite a bit. All right. So then we'll cement this by next, and then we'll tweak it as it goes along. Again, like anything we do, we will tweak. Do we have any questions? I mean, any,
Good. We're looking forward, right?
yeah, of course. We're now for
The full board, no current members, have 4. Great. For bylaws, no longer, so I also didn't have any 4s. Budget. Should we live up?
Oh, because your laptop is separate.
Hold on a second.
Everyone's looking at you changing it, but it doesn't change.
Oh, it's not, Jim?
No, because you're.
No, I was sharing.
It's only looking, you're sharing the one on the left computer. That's what you're sharing. That's what.
Shouldn't be. Okay, so let me get up.
You can share yours. Brand new. As much as you enjoy the heat, it really does sap you. Like, you did, but I think it was weird. I think you were sharing it from yours. No worry. Over no one.
Full board, no one, that was No one, Michael Dell. No current members, only what he's gone to, so no. Elections. No.
I mentioned that.
Sure, just send you the pictures of the kids.
Sorry, folks.
Um,
For Parks Committee, that was in the through April, we have Fernando Alvarez. Samantha Lavero.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, Samantha Lavero.
So, Fernando and Sam.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to. Okay, that's wrong.
That's right.
Almost.
Yeah, talked about that on the CB11M.
Am I current? Let's see. Yeah, you're current. So executive's good, housing. Lopez is gone, Jessica Morris. Dawn Sanders, Jason Rule's gone.
So we have John and Don.
John and Dawn.
Rhyming. And so far, they would have to be on both committees, on all
Yes.
committees, it can just be one, so we have to see if anyone that intersects.
Wait, it's on all committees or two?
It's, well, so far, the language we have, I think it's on for attendance.
Human services,
Currently.
okay?
Yeah, we haven't changed it yet.
You know, one thing I think we should look at when we look at this too,
Mhm.
is are those absences causing a meeting to not be held?
Yeah.
Cause that's even more.
Oh, you know, there's, I'm not gonna name names, but there, I believe are members who moved since.
Oh, yeah,
this
I'm
year.
gonna-
Nobody
They were
ever
not
announced.
reassigned, and have not shown up to any meetings. and-
Or chairs out of way.
And have done that every meeting.
And you know,
Carlos
in my
Diaz.
devilish way.
License of the permits, Carlos.
License.
Lori, gonna be covered.
And deal with,
But doesn't have enough meetings.
oh, okay. Good. Public safety. Anyone there again?
Thank you.
We got two.
That's all. Now, that's like that,
The other one is the member that left
I
already.
gave money, so,
Youth.
Youth and education, David Giordano?
yes.
I get it.
Jessica Morris.
I get
Why
it.
you mad?
Jessica has just mixed.
I get it. But technically she didn't reapply, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Who was that?
She's still a member until she's.
Well, let's ask the question though. So she is on, what other committee was she on? Elections, right?
No, Parks.
That committee doesn't exist.
No, she's on both committees she's on, she is missing four. Jessica, oh, something else. Jessica Morris is missing
How's it?
Housing.
housing.
And.
Yeah.
Why don't people just resign? I mean, just resign, doesn't want to go.
She's the only member.
What else is for quorums?
Well, my suggestion is.
So she's the only person we can remove.
She can impact 2 more months of meetings.
Yeah.
My suggestion is you make a motion and I can reach out and, offer the opportunity to resign. And then you could always not have to carry this out.
I love it.
Wow. You don't think so?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, no. I do too.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Can I have a motion?
Oh.
I'll make the motion if I have to, but typically the chair has the ability to, but it's not, yeah.
Motion to remove Jessica Morris based on, not meeting the minimal attendance.
Second. Third. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Any present not voting? Yeah, I said.
There are some though, right, that have 4 and 3 on committee. So Rosa, I would ask that if you can by tomorrow,
Mhm.
just email or text those members.
I think, at full board next Tuesday, my reports are not reports, I just talk about these situations.
Promise they might not be there either.
Well, hopefully they are, but I'll remind everyone that right now, we're using our older 4, which was incorrect, and that starting in September, we'll be using the more accurate 3. But
So yes, I'm gonna do what the chair just mentioned, and on Tuesday, I can also call those individuals out.
I know I'll speak to one of those.
should we have the attendance in our, Rosa, what we could do is have the attendance on the presentation.
On the screen?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that way, it's just clarity and everyone is open to the information.
Also, 2 things, I think even like as a document, that's like a part of the meeting material,
I
right?
know.
Not just a presentation, like not just on the screen, but like
They
when you,
use-
right, you understand, right? Yeah, so I think that'd be really
Yeah,
good, cause it's
printing it
public,
out.
it's a public record,
Public record.
and I think that's clear.
Could we make 3s yellow on your? Right now 4 is red and we can make 3 yellow, so that way everyone's easily identified what like they would technically fall under like this, like
Yeah.
And then another thing I wanted to bring up is, as we just saw going through here, and it's like the 2 committees, but it's all committees, and it's this and it's that. And I think that like most people will at least come to the full board. We don't have issues with quorum at the full board. But it definitely happens on committees. And I think that because people join committees are temporary, like the elections committee, like shouldn't it be that if you are absent from the election committee, even though it's no longer formed, like doesn't that still like matter? Or does it? Maybe we don't want it to, but I think of people switching committees, like it's almost like you could avoid getting in trouble for missing committee meetings if when you got to 2, you said to the chair, oh, I need to change my committee for whatever reason. And I'm not saying that because I'm not saying people are malicious about it, like try to like use the system against us, but it feels like we gotta do some way where it's all the absences in aggregate, not just what's happening on each of your committees and then checking all of them. And then you have some people that are on 2 committees, some people that are on 5 committees, right? So I feel like I don't know, I don't have a good answer to it, but I think it's something we have to think about. Because the full board's very clear. I feel like with the committees, only in the sense that you're on multiple. And so how do we aggregate it in a way that, like, why should you be able to kind of miss all of one and go to and be at all of a different one, and somehow that's okay? Because it's gotta be in all the committees you're on per the bylaws.
For that point, I'd like to say that, the chair myself with Angel we're speaking in regard, and we wanted to float this to you tonight. Where currently, you have to be on 2 committees.
A minimum.
It's a minimum, and we could change that technically to 1. And there's a lot of individuals that have a high concentration. They have a passion. Let's use the word passion, not interest. They have a passion for one committee, and you will see they'll never miss that committee. They're there religious. And the other committee, which they're forced to be on, that's what one they'll tend to start to have problems with. And this is nothing. This is simply a conversation. Something I wanted you to like pass through your mind, because
I say this, I'm go ahead, I'll say, where'd you?
Just remind me, because of my birthday, my brain is kind of, not today. Did we set up the 2 committees as part of the standard operating procedure for this board, or is it across all boards that each person must be on 2 committees? Because the full board is mandatory, right? And committee work is mandatory, right? We do our work in committees. But is it that every community board has the tool to speak to what you're saying? Or is it that we felt that?
technically it's at our discretion, because technically the only one that it's full board, and I think in our, it's like land use, right? Like the rest of it, not at all, but they're not like,
You're saying of what's required.
Yeah, what's required.
Required to have what committees?
Yeah, so, and again, we, due to attendance, a few years, like many years ago, remember, a lot of these committees were separate. Public safety was one, transportation was separate. We used to have like, it was like 20
And then-
committees, and the
And
attendance
human
was so
services is
terrible.
10 things.
Yeah, attendance was so terrible. We're talking about when I first joined the board, this is like an angel, just like 15, 16 years ago, that they did these super committees because they had no choice, because they were having quorum issues everywhere. And they kind of started combining things, right? Economic and economic development, public safety and transportation, like just big, because it was a quorum issue.
There can be boards with even fewer committees. than
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I was like looking at the one my school's in, and they have like half the number.
So
They can technically, like, we can choose to even aggregate it even more, but technically that happens when it's a quorum issue. Adam?
I mean, look, I'm not for giving people less work, but my feeling is that when people don't wanna be on a committee, they're sitting there and not doing anything anyway. This would allow us to ideally have people in places they can work. I could see how this could make actually each committee operate better. At the same time, if you wanna be on more, you obviously can be, right? But no one can complain, oh, I have to do more than that person, because you could be on one committee if you want. And then the flip side of all this is, if they're bad on that one committee, that's all it would take to remove them. That would be their committee. So now, if, you wanna be on one committee, sure, good luck. Show up, because then you're off.
And just so you're aware,
You know,
we
this-
don't feel like either way, like, just, we're not like in favor, it's something we're presenting.
No, I.
It's nothing like we're really pushing, like, it's just a.
You know, sometimes I feel like, and it's not necessarily that we do this, it's like, we're gonna lower our standards or our requirements, because people are not meeting a commitment. I mean, people sit around this table and you got 2, 3 people working on a table of 10 people anyway, whether they're there or not there. So, I don't know, it seems like we're giving people less of a commitment to be on a board, and it's like, when you join this, I don't think enough people understand the role that they're accepting and the responsibility, because they have not attended meetings before joining the board. I mean, 2 committees is the minimum, that means you have 3 meetings a month.
I agree.
And again, maybe we have to find a better way to count people missing meetings. Because again, what are you gonna always then have a half a room of, you're gonna have half a board work half the time? And I'm only gonna come because I only wanna be here for this one thing? Well, being part of the community is not one thing.
I don't disagree.
No, and I guess,
It's just,
I see the value of accepting it, but it makes me feel like, when I go through the train station now, I gotta squeeze like this, because the people who hop, we're gonna hop regardless of the bar you put there. So you could inconvenience the people that work.
I'm with you, I'm principled, I'm with you 1,000%.
So it's hard for me to say, let's just reduce it. But I hear, I
yeah, it's just a
understand.
discussion, nothing to.
So I guess if David brought up what the root cause is. The root cause is there are people on this board who aren't as committed to the work as other people are. And I think, well, how do we address that root cause? It's getting more members of the public in here, right? Here we are by ourselves. And this is not the most interesting one for the public, but most of the time the seats are empty, right? We tried to do a budget hearing 2 months ago on Zoom.
We had
Not a single person, right? Because if you get the public more involved, then those people will apply. Deb mentioned earlier, how many, Deb?
20,
For how many spots,
10 or 11.
right? So like, we can't be choosy when there's 20 people applying for 11 spots. So as much as I agree with you, David, and I agree with the root cause, I think that maybe one of the solutions is, how do we get, just for lack of a better word, better people, more invested people to want to join this board? And then instead of it being, we're lowering our standards and letting someone, oh, you can just be on one, that's acceptable, towards people going, oh, I want to be on 3 or 4 of these. I'm in it, let's do this. I want to work hard for this community. But if you don't have the bodies of people who want to do that,
Yeah.
then
That's gonna be unaddressable, but we're also gonna address the new boards and let them know the responsibilities, so like leadership will be in charge of, like, day one, we're gonna be like, this is what you gotta do.
No, I was just gonna say what you said. I think that there's a lot of factors here, and if we're gonna talk about all the factors, we're gonna make this a very long meeting, but one, it has to do with how current members, I mean, the staff can only do so much, but our outreach to people and how we're marketing the community board and stressing the importance and trying to fight against the negative stuff that you read online. But I'm of the persuasion that from the very beginning, now that Office Oversight is taking over, trying to do a more informative orientation, that we just ask right off the bat. And we just tell people, this is what we expect from you, which we've always done. This is 2 committees, but this is the actual work it takes. And you're gonna get your inbox flooded, and you're gonna have a lot of information. Try to think about which 2 committees you're gonna put in the work, because when you're not here, and just go down how their, attendance or non-attendance impacts. I like the idea of 1 committee for the simple reason that people are invested, but I don't like that because you then, with that goes, if you're on 2 committees and you mess up the attendance for 1, you still have 1, or before we would reassign. When you only have 1 committee, are you gonna give them still the option to then find another committee to join? So, it may be, you may decide to do a pilot, where you do 1 committee for 1 year and you see it, but I think that a lot of information has to go out so that people know the expectations. I don't think people know the expectations they know it when they apply, and I think this comes from the Manhattan Borough President's Office. The piss poor job that the Manhattan Borough President's Office does in explaining the expectations of community boards.
And I wish that, that September won't be as active for us, but I can assure you that September is going to be very active for this company. Because even though we've told them that if you are more than 30 minutes late and you don't wait until that last attendance roll call, so if you don't meet that 2 criteria, you're absent, that's gonna be a thing. And the whole 4 and 3 is going to be, so it's, there's going to be a very contested September, which I hope everyone's ready for. Roseanne?
So, this time around, to apply for community board, membership was a little bit harder. And at the beginning of the application, it does say you must be available for 1 full board and 2 committees, a minimum of 16 hours or so. And then you have to do 3 certifications where say, do you understand? Did you read everything? Do you agree? You know what I mean? So I also reapply again. And I know a couple of people that also applied for the first time. So come on, you are voluntarily committing and dedicating yourself to fill out this application. And when it comes to May and June that you actually get appointed, you don't know anything.
But I just wanna, it's always been like that. They've always had a disclaimer. The problem is that when you read something on a paper, you agree. But the Manhattan, I remember I went to a very effective, many years ago, Manhattan Borough President's session where community board members were there talking to potential applicants and people who applied to give them a sense of, you remember, I don't know if you remember, and to give them a sense of what the expectation was from board members. Not coming up with these scenarios where you're in a group of people with the chat, and then you gotta figure out how you're gonna build the land use thing, and if you're on an island, who's gonna be voted off, right? So the best people to give people the idea of the community board and the needs are community board members or people that are related to that. So when we have old board members who don't put in the work, and are absent and only want the idea of having community board member on their resume so that they can appear important to this community
Or their
and
job.
don't do the work
or their job.
or their job, right? And we have over and over, no matter how many times the staff and attendance has been brought, there has to be something, whether it's that automatic, you're off, if you're not here. We have people who are constantly absent. They don't care, they do the bare minimum because they know they can. And so if we don't change our expectations, and this seems to be the committee that's gonna do it, if we don't change our expectations and hold people accountable, then they don't need to come to one board meeting either, because after a while, you're gonna fall off there as well. So if it's gonna be one committee to do it as a test and a pilot, right, it may be a great idea, right? Because then you'll see and you can judge it. You can't judge something if you don't put it into play as a pilot. If you're gonna hold people accountable, which I totally agree with
I'm all
you,
about trying new things.
You know?
Seeing if they work,
right,
they
and if
work
it
great,
doesn't,
if they don't,
we're putting in a couple of things in place. I agree with you, you're on multiple committees, so have I, and, I just, a lot of this stems from apathy and from lack of knowledge, even though people read it, they don't do it. Like I have people tell me, I didn't know I was gonna get all this email from the community board. And when I asked, how do you think the community board can be improved? You know what I was told? Less emails and less paperwork being sent to me. So that is something to be addressed, right? You're gonna get a lot of emails, you're gonna get a lot of paper information, you're gonna because you wanted this.
well, we want you to be informed. Them and then Dirk.
Just quickly, so I've been talking about social media task force, it just got me thinking, because I had a couple of members working on it off the side, and I talked to Rosa about possibly kind of spearheading, because she's always online and getting youth involved, if you have any. I also talking about getting public members that are younger on here, but I was thinking about you also using our social media as outreach to new members. That idea came today after seeing that we only have 20 applicants. On another point, when I've been getting public member applications recently, my question is, have you come to meetings? And I said, you have to be at a certain number of the committee meetings you want to apply for, or I won't entertain it. And very quickly, even if they submit an application, I don't hear from them again. I proposed this idea to the borough president's office, which should be like, you should put that out there, that we're only gonna entertain applicants that have been to a certain number of meetings. They don't seem to be open to that. And then the last point, Rosa, since you brought it up, here's my question then. If this application is requiring members to, applicants to certify themselves, then essentially they're signing a contract with the borough president's office, right? I mean, they are when they fill this application. And if they breach that contract, then it should be on the borough president's office to enforce them. So what I'm saying is, if they want to do this certification thing, when we have members hit our threshold, we should send it to them and say, hey, they've reached the agreement, remove them. You have them sign on this commitment, go ahead and remove them. And I'll send it. Let them send it back. Well, let's put this on the record. Because the point being then, and I agree with you, it's a great idea. But it's not a great idea if it's just, oh, okay, they all checked it and they know your problem, we're not gonna do anything about it. So then I would tell them, then remove it. You're not gonna do all this and continue to make it our problem. So if you wanna put this on there to make that application look good and, oh, you're signing up for this, you're signing up for that, and then when you don't do it, it's their problem. And we're not even allowed to see the application. I mean, tell me another organization where the people that are running it and working on it don't have any say in who's part of it. But you got, today, you know who was on that list of people reviewing applications? Ernst & Young. Because they have, nonprofits around it. I probably shouldn't be like talking like this, but it is what it is. It's just crazy, how little input we get into who we work. And if you want to remove the political feelings or whatever, then allow us to look at the anonymous applications the same way you're allowing everyone else to. In what company, what school do you have where you don't know who's coming to work with or no one there does. It's actually insane, and the more you look at it, the more you say we are totally set up to fail.
On that note, we're gonna move forward.
Sorry.
We're gonna move forward. Now we're spiraling, but it has to do with In Touch, but we're gonna now go. And we have to, hit our main focus of tonight, which is orientation and training. Everything else we're gonna work on as we go along, but we do not have time, with orientation and training because we have new members coming in
2 months.
like hopefully next month, but realistically, June. I mean, we'll see how that process goes. Last month we discussed about having them come to this committee, which I think is a great idea. I was thinking about, something that lawyers do, which is like a mock trial.
Yes.
And I think we should do that, the focus, instead of just having and just letting them, I think we should have them participate and do something like a mock committee. Make them do a motion, force them to do a motion, force them to do a second, understanding kind of how the work goes, and just engaging them, because a lot of these members are very overwhelmed initially. They don't know. And I remember being a new member, I'm like, I can make a motion. They're like, yeah, you can make a motion. Oh, I'm gonna make a motion, and I think that will help our new members in the process, in the transition, and it'll help them kind of feel more like this is their community board and not feel very shy about it, and have them take like a year to really activate themselves. Because we don't have that time. And before we had all the time in the world, and now we have 8 years, and 8 years feels like a long time, but it's really not. It's really not. So we need people to be active earlier on in their process. Derek, then Ruka?
I love that idea. And I want to suggest sort of 2 parts of it. One, where it is what a committee meeting would be like, and one where it's like, and this is how something gets presented at full board. Maybe we can pick a resolution that we've done around like land use action.
Something like critical.
Right, and
where they're like,
right, and talk a little bit about like, this is what a land use resolution looks like. All of this, blah, 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 this is just all the facts. But this is the part that we put in there that was really important. Our commitments around what we care about, around affordability, around local hiring. These are the things that we're holding them accountable for. And then make it something that's like real. And
we can do committee and full board.
yeah, and I think the committee could be talking about like, they get to experience it, like, this is what call to order looks like, this is what roll call looks like. And then again, jumping to what would be an action item and going through how we discuss it, and then getting to the part about making the motions. I think that's an awesome.
We can focus, telling them the responsibilities of what the chair does, of the committee, of the vice chair, like just kind of hammering them in. Because a lot of these members, we're gonna lose a lot of members in a year's 12 months. There's a lot of members, there's gonna be a significant change.
Now you still have to wait.
So, it's going to be, they can join as public members, but it's not the same, because then public members can be the committees, they can't necessarily be a full board. They can vote in committee, but not a full.
You could be on more than one committee as a public member.
But, I think we should like do it all, and just that meeting, just focus on that. But really, the main purpose will be that we have to get them there.
So we're looking more to the June meeting, right? Because
The June.
I mean, usually people miss a May meeting because they just got informed, and it's like a meeting next week, I can't make it,
Next day.
Absolutely. We're in the middle of April and they still don't know. So I definitely would think June in this scenario.
They did say late May, meaning May during. May, okay.
So definitely we
And,
meet at the end of June.
June is a crazy month too, with just planning, but
Yeah, graduation, and this and that.
Also as important is to show them, let them know about the website. The calendar, the dates, the times of, when the committee meets, the time that, the time commitment. It's not 1 hour, it's not 2 hours, it's when the work is done. And also educate them about attendance, how it works, that they have to be present for committee meetings in order to be marked present, and how the disability works. A lot of people are not using it correctly, and it's unethical. That's it.
Okay. That's it.
To piggyback off what you're saying, I think that how to craft a resolution, and it can be a basic way. The reason is because I'm not even sure that current board members understand how to craft a resolution.
I think that's
And
the
the easiest way.
That's such a large thing to do.
I think that's really important, and yeah, maybe that is.
But if you're doing a motion, depending on what the committee or
Yeah.
whatever decides, and if, let's say it's a liquor license, we're attaching, right, resolutions with liquor licenses. Or depending, it could be something really simple.
Yeah.
Like the way I remember to do a resolution, and it may not be right, because I was informally taught to, I write down everything it is. Community Board 11 is a not-for-profit government organization, blah, 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 and I write down what it is, and then I put whereas in front. That's the simplest way for me to do it, whether it's right or is it wrong, but that's it. Write the stuff, put whereas in front of it, write what the resolution is supposed to be aimed at, and then let it be resolved that, and then whatever. But it could be something that's 2 or 3 sentences long, you're not gonna do, a real formal resolution, but at least that they get the gist of how it's acted.
And currently you have, something like that you give to the members,
You
right?
know, but they
orientation,
don't
right?
read it.
Orientation, I know they don't read it, but, we can take.
That's really, no, it's really, but something that, you're gonna give them a lot of information in one meeting, potentially 2. So you wanna give them an easy way to remember it, and then the real knowledge is a backup.
Where do you have it, resources, if you remember, really?
So everything that we used to print and hand to people, we now have on the website, under resources, board member resources. So on there, members will find the copies of the bylaws, the request for remote participation form, our statement of due process procedures, the board member reference guide, the committee chair responsibilities, and then there's also a how-to for how to draft minutes and how to draft resolutions. There's the guide for the annual statement of district needs and budget process. And then there's an explanation about the board team drive, and there's other helpful links, including law governing community board membership. If I could say something about what you guys have been talking about, what you all think. So I would, I like the idea of the mock meetings. And enforcing like the basic rules and, as part of those, like including the attendance thing. I think it would be really good for new members to hear from other members that they're expected to, attend their meetings. Like I certainly have attempted to drive it home, but maybe it's not, reaching, or maybe because maybe they've heard it, but then when they're given a break later, then they follow the break as opposed to the original rule. But maybe if they're hearing it directly from, their colleagues to be, or their new colleagues, they'll hear it better. On the minutes and resolutions, I think that could be a step 2. I think in step 1, that could be a bit much, a brand new member writing a resolution. I don't know that that's necessarily the best idea. In terms of that's a lot to take on, but also you just got here, figure out how we operate, where your new colleagues have been thinking. Because if the board has been saying yellow for years and you come out of left field and all of a sudden it's green, you're like, well, it's like you're disregarding all the work that the board's been doing for all the time that preceded your appointment to the board. And if I could go back to the conversation about the borough president's office, since the time of Nilsa, I've been disagreeing on this point. Once a member gets appointed, however they get appointed here, I won't comment on, but once they're here, they're your responsibility. Right? Period. We know from vast evidence, the borough president, whoever it is not gonna come to the board's rescue. It's just not what they do. I cannot think of a board member being removed by a borough president in a long time. we've heard, we've read over the years, bad actor borough presidents deciding to remove people for their own reasons, political usually. In other boroughs, I won't blame the Manhattan ones. But that has happened. I have not seen anybody removed by the borough president's office the entire time that I've been here. And that's more than enough evidence of time. I think it's up to the board to make its decisions. And I think that the board, and I've said at this table before many times, I think that the board has been reticent to discipline its members.
Yes.
For whatever reasons, and that because of that, the board has tied itself into knots. The members not making the board, the board has been just trying to be thoughtful and kind and, whatever the hell it is. I will say today again, like I've said hundreds of thousands of times, so sick of hearing it.
No, not.
Stop overcomplicating it. It's not worth the trouble. The members that want to do the work show it. And the members that don't also show it. And the board twists itself in all kinds of, knots over the members that don't do the work. The members that do the work are never come up as an issue for attendance, or if they come up once, it's because they really terribly sprained their ankle. And then other than that, they're fine. It's these other members, so I don't see, I've never understood why so much trouble for people that are not making it a priority to respect their colleagues' time and everybody else's time. I've never understood that. I do appreciate that the board has tried to be considerate. But I also think that there's a point where we have to acknowledge that despite how considerate we're being, that the person that we're being considerate to is not being appreciative of that consideration. And then they should be like, all right, get out of here, so that we can focus on more interesting things. Like the board member escalation thing is more interesting, the training is more interesting. It's actually what you get excited about, and then all the other, youth things and policy things. That's why you're here. It's not to be, whether Joe showed up to the meeting and, whether he sprained his ankle or he's in a bad mood or he has a disability, which he never has. It's a lot of twisting and turning. The people that are really sick usually don't even submit a disability form.
And it's still good.
And then the people that are BSing or taking advantage submit the form and then they're at their desk at work. How sick are you?
I guess I'll start with the last thing that Angel said is that's why I think ultimately this concept that we came up with about affirmatively voting to put someone on probation just addresses the root cause that both people that sat at this table didn't want to vote to remove and people in the full board didn't want to vote to remove. And now we're talking about a vote to give someone a second chance that you can make a strong argument for, and then we'll do it. And then, like Angel's saying, those people are not considerate of us. We've formalized our compassion into one last chance. And in theory, that I hope, can take care of itself. And then I just wanted to add in about, I agree about maybe doing the resolution writing at that June one is maybe a little too much for brand new people, but maybe a good place to do it could be at those first committee meetings, because then maybe they can pull up, oh, this is a resolution that we did, at our June meeting, and then they could use that as a real life example of this is a thing that we saw, this is the conversation that we had, this is how we decided on the letter that we wrote. And then they can see versions of those letters in the committees that they're actually on.
We would have to realistically do that October and November.
Okay.
Because September, as we've discussed, we're gonna be very busy, it shouldn't be that busy, because you'll either fall in the category or we'll call you in, but so October may be very busy, because then we'll have to bring people in.
We have budget going.
And then budget is September and October, right? October, it's a lot of budget. So then November becomes a lot more peaceful. So we just have to take those.
July?
Huh?
We're gonna give you in July?
We can talk about that as well.
Right, I think we mentioned doing something with them over the summer.
I mean, most people are here.
You know, Angel, when you read off the list of stuff that you go over with the members, I was waiting to hear board member responsibilities.
Oh, it's in the thing.
It's in the thing, okay.
Yeah, and the board member reference guide, it's like.
Okay.
I was inspired. I don't know how many pages it is.
Oh,
A while ago.
I gotta go back.
But it's.
What, you updated it, I should go look at it, I haven't seen it,
Yeah.
you know, I still got the old book.
Yeah, it's the same stuff. It's just like, reformatted, but it's the same content.
On the forums, since we've been talking about them, I've been wrestling with the idea and I talked to Angel about it. I'm leaning very heavily towards requiring, members who have a qualified disability to submit documentation. I don't, well, and I'll be clear though, I don't wanna know why. I don't get, it's like a doctor's note, just says that they can't be present due to a disability.
We run that through the board.
And the borough president's office has said, actually,
That we
the
should.
ones that said essentially that we probably should be asking for this. That they know there's an abuse, that we could even ask, I could even get more detail. I don't want the details. It could be something as simple as, this person has a qualified disability that does not allow them to attend a meeting in person for this duration of time. Done. I don't need to know why, what you're dealing with, it could be anything. Right? And I mean, clearly, we already know that because you're not coming. Now it's just you getting food.
Now, would we do that for each time somebody calls, or would it be like, like I've used the one, like I went to the dentist, had surgery on Monday, so Tuesday for board, I was home on the meeting at.
I mean, look, my fear is, and I hear what you're saying, my fear is if I don't do it the same way for everyone, then I'm gonna get pushback, meaning if I don't require proof every time somebody submits it, people are gonna say, you made me put it.
How many times you go to the doctor? Well, you don't call, right? You get your own job. How many times you call out, go to the doctor? You don't go to the doctor. Like one day.
No, and there are just certain members.
But they can email you stuff. I'm talking about qualified.
I mean, look,
But again, it's for the abuse. So we're going to be checking this. We're going to be monitoring, and this committee will be
So-
monitoring this.
Somebody that's doing this continuously.
I mean, that's who the idea is, it's for, right?
Really,
It's for, like Angel said, you really can clearly see that person is like at a desk somewhere, like as you're in this meeting, like you look at the camera.
Most of the time they don't get on.
Yeah, you're having discipline for you, or you saw them outside the day before, or you see them outside the next day, and it is getting ridiculous. And so me and Angel talked about it, and I was not for wanting it either, and I don't wanna know anything that people are dealing with. I just want documentation that verifies that you in fact cannot be here, because of the.
But David, to your point, which you brought up in the past, process has to be processed. Right? This is the point you brought up a few times. You can't have a different process, and we talked about having different tiers, and then realistically,
No, I
we
agree. You run into the case.
Someone's there. I have no idea what that is. but
So
someone's
they
there.
gone.
No, they're hiding behind the camera. That means they're a hitman. That's it. It's over.
Them's young.
They're coming for you.
No,
We have it done for.
yeah, and then goes to the I would just
Young
buzz
people.
them. I would've been like,
Young
buzz them.
people.
But again, like to that point, David, it will be hard. It just has to be processed, which you brought up multiple times. So hopefully we don't have to get to that point. But should it get to that point, then, but hopefully.
So it does look like they're going to,
Borough president told us that we can.
no, what I'm saying is in terms, like what I was asking, there was a point where
They're not
July. No, and that as of July 2026, the possibility
So
might
make
be
them
that
that.
that would go away, that they wouldn't, so they need to continue to extend the,
I haven't
that
heard
know
though,
of anything?
that this bill will be removed.
You mean I
No,
think it
they-
expires in June, I haven't heard anything otherwise.
Right, that's what I was wondering, if
I
they
can
have
look it up
mentioned
right
to
now.
you that they were going to extend it
And I
further.
can email the council.
Because if it's not extended further, then this becomes a moot point,
But
but you
most
still have to have a
likely, most
process.
likely they will extend.
But it
that's
hasn't
what we've
been an
seen in the
emergency in a
Well,
while.
again, this was based on COVID, right?
Yeah,
And
that's it for one day.
And-
But they have a lot of pushback, people with disabilities and situations, and they want to participate, and they should have the ability to participate, but again, the abuse is really the issue.
Yeah, no.
It is, it has happened in my community. Where, a person has a permanent disability form, but they show up to one committee. They show up to full board for half a time. They don't show up to another committee, which I'm also part of. So like, are you permanently disabled or you're not permanently disabled? So now I'm questioning, as another member of this board, like, are you really sick? Because like this, for me at least, it's unethical for you to be lying to me that you're permanently disabled and you go different places and you're showing up specifically to different committees and not coming to my committee.
Rosa, tell me how you really feel.
That's exactly how I feel.
It's set to expire July 1st, there's been no comment, right?
Yeah, the governor is not going to.
Hopefully it's a moot point.
As of right now. Not
But it's always been supposed to, right? And
It's always-
that's-
extended.
COVID was many years ago.
Six.
I'll never forget because it almost killed me. All right, so so this is what we have for June. We'll do, and maybe July, depending on everyone's availability. I don't want to speak for anyone, like I'll be around July. I'm always around. So we're doing the mock trial. I think we're on agreement with that, right? I think that,
Mock trial or mock committee?
well, you know what I mean.
Okay.
It's a mock trial, but it's basically,
We're bringing
We're
some-
putting them,
we're putting them on trial. No, but this is, I use mock trial because this is what lawyers do this all the time. And the reason they do it, and it's very effective, is because it gives you that experience without having to have consequences. So we'll do a committee meeting, we'll do a full board meeting, tell them what they can, how to speak, when to speak, like, and a lot of them, they're very timid, like in the beginning, they don't know, and honestly, we should kind of push that so that they can participate from, coherently, of course. And then at that meeting, we can talk about website, attendance, disability form, we will leave resolutions for a step 2 situation at some point after October. Because we know September, October is very tough months. We have a budget, we have attendance. And I think we can give November, December a little more time in that regard. We'll see how it goes depending on the committee's decisions, right?
They're gonna be more qualified than us.
Hopefully, that's the whole key, the whole point of how we are trying to do this work. And like what we discussed with Angel and Prem a lot, which is we're no longer here, like all of us, that the next people here have the processes and the steps where they can be better educated and start at a much faster pace than we were. Because for the most part, we have to agree that most committee members take like 2 years just to get comfortable. And that's really, like, realistically speaking, with the new term limits, that's 25% of your time. So you don't really have that time. Like if you were getting paid or there was a crunch, you would just, now you have a seat. So you really need to start doing things faster and getting them feel more comfortable. And even in terms of the leadership, again, like next year, a lot of our members are turned out. And it's a significant number. So we'll have a big turnabout with new membership and we'll have to kind of, judge on it. So we're hoping to put these processes into place. So craft the resolution will be a step 2 sometime in the fall. But you got anything else you want to?
Yeah, I think that's much more.
Resolutions are actually easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll forget
We
about
don't want to give them.
forget about the formatting and the whereases. That's what people get tripped up.
no,
Do I
exactly.
say it this way? Do I capitalize it? Do I put a comma? It doesn't matter. The whereases are the whys. Because of this reason, this reason, this reason, this reason, this reason, I'm asking for, or therefore is what you're asking.
Wow.
That's it. Create your list of the whys. And then what you're asking for. And we don't have to restate who we are. Like the heading, this community board 11, but you can go right into it. Whereas black, we don't have to say, whereas we do this and I'm left-handed and I step on my right foot. It doesn't, it's unnecessary. You just get right into it.
All right, so for next month's meeting, for May, we are cementing this, or at least the first iteration of it. Again, this is a constant iteration, just constantly, we find a better thing, we change a better thing, like the full check. All right, we should, and then we can cement our process. Well, March will be a little easier because we kind of know the process, but we'll do that for June. Hopefully we'll know who's with us by that time.
Yeah.
Again,
When do y'all get notified? Like, of the list?
We get it at the same time. Well, the new members?
Yeah, like, do you get it before we would get our letter or
No.
no?
You mean the member?
Yeah.
No, I think it goes out the same. So like usually, like they'll send out a ton of emails to all the members, and then they send an email with all the applications to to the office and the chair, same time. So we get the same. But it's a ton. It's a lot. It's a lot of emails, a lot of letters or something.
Right, citywide.
Well, it's the whole borough. So they have to send a letter to all the members, whether they're being reappointed or not, and then all the new members that are being appointed. So the one thing I did want to mention with our current members that are terming out. So technically their term should have ended March 31st. But the charter allows for a member to continue in service
And so,
for 60 days. The continue in service until they're replaced up to 60 days. So
yeah,
May, whatever the last day is, May 30, 31. That's it. So like if there's a member right now that is termed out, then they're off, even if they haven't been replaced. So the borough president's office is, they know that, they're gonna want to have it done by May.
you know, it's scary though, right? We're supposed to have 15 members, right? 25 turnover 1 year, just in the general,
Yeah.
25 and another. So we have 25 that should turn over, some of them may be turning out, right? So that may even increase. And that we only get 20 applications. And we don't have 50 spots now. So we don't have enough applications to fill the board spots that are gonna be empty.
David,
That's
it
great.
doesn't include the people who reapplied. That number, that 20. So it's 20 for like 11 spots.
Yeah.
There's 16 reapplicants.
Yeah.
But I do,
Okay.
like, it still is like a small pool. I agree with you.
Right.
We've had more applicants in the past.
No, I know we
This
have,
is
I've been in there.
It's a bad year. Well,
Is it citywide like that?
I don't know. I know the number because of them told me a little while ago.
Right.
Well, told us at the same time. I think that applications reflect interest. And I think interest is derived by something interesting. So if we're dysfunctional, if we're boring, if we're, then people won't apply. In the past, we've had tons of applications and we typically have 10 vacancies every year. So it's been 10 all the time. So I know that my colleagues across the city are panicking because of term limits. I am not, because I've been 10 the whole time. Like every year it's 10. Other boards is 1 person, 2 people, and we're minimum. Why it's a low number of applications? I think it's that. I think it's disinterest or and there's like a general disinterest in civic engagement. And you have to like look at voting in the district. It's like, it's absurd, right? But that reflects a lack of confidence in those holding office and those holding policy positions, right? It also reflects, really effective cynical campaigning, right? There's a lot of people in the community that aren't running for office, but make it their business to just campaign on, fomenting cynicism and skepticism. So people are just sour on things, right? Like my job amongst many things is to sell community boards. So I've been doing that forever. And to this day, people walk in the office and like, what do you do here? I'm like, Jesus. So you have to start all over again. But each time, if they're showing that level of interest, then you have to explain it. The members need to do it too by explaining what a community board is, but then also act to recruit by, like Rosa was really fantastic last year about all the swag is all over the place. But in addition to the swag, what do we do? So the rest of y'all, if you're not hanging out swag, talk to me. I'm on the board, we do this. There's a lot of cynicism about community boards. I was on a panel last night. And everyone's sucking their teeth about community boards. I've been on 3 panels in the last year. And every time everybody's sucking their teeth about community boards. I'm like, we're not your problem. You know, like I was on a panel with these developers and they're all like, oh, community board got in the way. I'm like, no, we don't. We don't get it.
We don't.
I'm like, you don't consult with community is the issue. And you don't want to consult with community. So any, you know, question raised by anyone, much less an organized entity like a community board, that you take an issue with. Like we need to step our game up and show that, like the year around the rezoning, it was not 20 applications, probably like 100 applications. And we were hot. People were like, not here, you know. There was a lot of applications, you know, same thing with the positions, like wow, when was it Carly? When Carly left and we were taking applications for what ended up being Khalid, like the number of applications were not that many. But when I applied for the same position, it was 150 applications. So it's a number of different factors that play into it. But I think the part that we can control as a community board is make it a place that's interesting to be at, because the meetings are interesting. If we're just in a meeting talking about bloody attendance, who wants to come to the next meeting? But if we're talking about, like, you know, and that has to be done, obviously. Yeah. It has to be done. But if we're talking about more like anyone listening online that was hearing you guys talk about the escalation thing or about the training, it'd be like, oh, okay, these guys are being thoughtful about the new members that are coming in and trying to help them hit the ground running. So that is attractive. Like if you guys pretend you're not on the board anymore and you were applying for the first time, you would be like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty decent. So one last thing. I told the borough president's office, that Dan was on the call with me, I'm not concerned about having 50 members. I'm concerned about having good members. Stop sending me Joe Schmo and John Schmo. I'm like, give me a break, you know, like just so we can say we have 50. There are many boards that do not have 50 members. So I just came to learn that over the last couple of years. I always assumed, because we were always at 50, at least to start. There's a lot of boards. There's boards that have 30 members and get new members and stay in the 30s. So I'm not looking for us to be there, but I'm also not sweating if we're at 40 or just 42. I'm like, I'd rather have 42 members that are paying attention than 50 members where 8 of them are just, you know, blah, 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 you know, because they'll leave anyway, right? It's those same people like.
We have to consider that then it'll be our responsibilities to remove. So like it's better to have a.
Look how long it's taking to remove those.
Yeah.
Than
Do it
to
now.
have to go through that. Eric?
Um,
It's coming, that's.
Something I wanted to go back to something David was saying earlier about like engaging the youth and like I think it's a shame that we don't have what the charter allows those members under 18, right? Like we should
16.
We should be looking, right? We should be looking to those schools in our district and like recruiting those students and again, like that's our, even if, you know, maybe it doesn't work out and they're only on the board for one term, but I think that's the thing. And the other one I want to bring up is
It's not allowing to curfew.
is there's a thing that's a couple of years old called the New York State Seal of Civic Readiness. It's a high school credential that they can get based off of content knowledge and civic participation. And so what the city has done, and my school's done a little bit of this, is like we put together projects and then students complete these projects at the school and that earns them points towards this credential. And it seems to me like there should be a community board based one, right? My students come from all over the city. There are ones that live in this community district, like they could come to meetings, they could engage in the process. Maybe there's an interview of a community board member, Angel's up for it, maybe conversations with the district managers, right? Of just like people learning about it before they get disillusioned with what local government can do. And if we work together, I think maybe that's something like I can talk to the people I know in like the Manhattan High School's central office, and like maybe there's a project that can get approved and then is available to high schools all over New York City. It could be really a good way to engage people. And then like if the students come in, it's like, well, I'm going to drag a parent with me, right? So now you got 2 people that come to a meeting, and then maybe we get one of them to apply. You know, so I think that is a way with like real, they'll really get something out of it. If we could put together something like that.
I agree. I almost think we have to start earlier with middle school kids so that it's something that's developed. Not every kid's gonna take on to this. And you know, I've done a lot of work trying to get kids involved in this process. Ash is
Yeah, yeah,
one of those
that's,
kids,
that's the
right?
poster, yeah.
And, you know, I mean, he was unique in his own way, because at 9, he was supposed to talk about the violence in the community with de Blasio, and he talked about the gardens that his family runs and stuff. But, you know, again, sparking that interest in kids, and, you know, and that's why I think what the councilwoman did was really wonderful you know, giving us a stipend to employ kids to be poll workers, right? So you're vested in your community, you're engaging people in your, getting them to be voters in your community. And you know, what they've also had to learn in the process is that you have to smile when people curse at you on the street who don't stop to sign, right? And all those other things. So, you know, I think what I would like to do in the school I work was to do a piece with that, with the kids, starting really in 5th grade and working up in middle school.
Definitely.
You know, maybe we can work on something together.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think it'd be a really good way to engage youth, and they have a lot, they can't vote, right? But they can come to these sorts of things and have a way to have their voices heard.
What prepares them for voting?
Yeah, I actually did try to do that, with, New York League,
The New York League of Women Voters.
that one, exactly, sorry. And we tried to speak to all 7 Manhattan high schools, so it's not just one. 7 Manhattan high schools, and get the whole Manhattan involved when it comes, you know, going specifically to freshman year where they're like 14 and 15, right? They get too busy. Superintendents get too busy, and then I'm in Manhattan High School's President's Council, and I bring it there, and you know, I tell a few parents, and those few parents, like, it dies down. You know what I mean? They may or may not take it to the PTA boards, but like, we need something stronger. You know what I mean? Community boards, I tell everyone about community board, but again,
Well,
it doesn't go everywhere.
it's why I'm getting that specific example of the skill of civic readiness. I know that the Manhattan, like Gary Beitelman has invested a lot into that, and a lot of schools are looking for projects to do. And so I'm just thinking like the little bit like the transactional nature of it. It's like, if I work with my principal on it, and if he sends it to the people he knows, the principals that he knows, and says like, hey, this is an approved project, you know, they're gonna be more receptive to that perhaps, because it's like, okay, here's an easy project. You know, it could be an activity these kids do in the fall in their government class,
I'm gonna
right?
have to pause this. I feel like you should go to youth and education. But, you know, we're inspired. I love the idea. I love the idea more so because I think the more, and I've been saying this in terms of public safety, you start in high school, it's too late. Even in middle school, sometimes it's too late. By middle school, these kids may have a gun on. I know a little kid, I have a motorcycle shop, so I have a lot of intertwining. And like with the dirt bikes and quads, and that's minimized a lot in our community as it's seen, because before it used to just be everywhere. But I think definitely the younger you start with kids, the better it is. The better they can see, the better they understand that they have more chances of opportunities. But I do want to move our meeting along, and I think we've done a lot of great work done. I think we have a clear direction of what we're going to do for the next couple of months. I would like your help with this regards. I need you to look at it. If you have suggestions, please send it, because again, next month we're going to give a version of this to our new people coming in and to the full board, so that they're aware, and we'll have the three versions: member to member, staff to member, member to staff. So that way everyone's clear and we're our understanding. We also have for June, just to recap, we have our mock trials. Hopefully we'll see how much of the new membership can be activated, and you know, if everyone is here within their schedule for July, and we can do something in July as well.
I would say that, you know, when we do the work on the mock thing, that we all take a piece, so that we're all presenting a piece, and, you know, as we divvy it up, we'll go through it.
I would push them to be the active members even more. And what I think we should do, and
You know what I mean, like how we facilitate the lead up.
no, what I was saying to your regard, because I agree with you, is that we should have one of us sitting with one of them and explaining to them, be like, you're deal, and I'm gonna be like, all right, you're, this is how you want to do yes, you want to do no, making them kind of feel comfortable. So that way, like, since there's a few of us here, we can kind of engage in that format and almost really have them like feel that they've been active. So when they go to a full board, they're like, oh yeah, they're against, and they want to say something, they can say something. And
Well, I think that's exactly what happens. I'm sitting there, I don't know, and then there's a motion. Do I vote? Do I not vote?
yeah, you feel
You know?
overwhelmed. It's overwhelmed. It's overwhelming.
And
And
I
in
think
full
how we
board.
get started is almost, it's your first meeting, a motion is on the table, are you able to vote? And watch what they look at, respond.
And more than anything, let them understand that is their information to be informed. I don't want to hear anyone saying, walking into a committee meeting saying, I know nothing. Because that means that you didn't look at the 2-3 emails that you got with the agenda, with all the background information. That means that you're not doing your job. If you walk into one of our committees or a full board saying, I don't know, that means that you didn't do your job. And they have to be aware that they have to kind of like, this is not something where we can kind of baby step. We're constantly having to move business. So they should be informed, in particular in the beginning, they should look at that agenda even more so and ask the questions prior so that we can help them. That's what I would do. When I first became chair, an angel, I'd ask them before that, or even in the middle, I'd be like, check the text, I'd be asking them questions. Okay, yeah, there we go. You know, and later on, when you have enough experience, you don't really need to do it as much, but still, in the beginning, it's very tricky. This is why I instilled that, in public safety, we did that 30-day, because I remember being a new member and just like voting on a million things. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm voting on half of the time. And it is feel very overwhelming. Listen,
No, I agree with you, but I think that as we are working towards helping empower and educate new members, we have to let the old members know that this is the expectation of what we're expecting from everybody. So we're educating new to come in, but we can't let old members who don't do the work or are jaded or just show up, then taint those people after a while. So the same processes that we put in for the new members, we need to let
Well,
old members know.
absolutely. That's what we were discussing before. That's one point that we've taken here very seriously at this committee, which is the process will be the same for everyone. We will continue work on our bylaw revisions. That's not really ready yet. But once that's ready, then we'll bring it back. And we do have a lot of high expectations for that, where we can go into that probation period, and should that person fail that probation period, make it automatic, then just alleviates the whole process. And that's why we didn't discuss it today, because we're just working on that to make it seem.
It may reduce, like, I think, like you said, it works in reverse with people's minds.
Yes, I think so.
Absolutely, because they don't feel like they're voting someone up today,
Oh,
even though it may happen in a few months. But again, that will be based on people's behavior, on that person's behavior, not on any of our decisions, which is how it should be. And with that, do we have any, well, no, we did announcements. Do we have anything else we'd like to discuss? We think we're great, everything's fine. Then I'd like to go into our roll call so we can go into our adjournment.
Committee members, when I call your name, please answer present. Jose Altamirano. Rosa Diaz. David Giordano. Also Rama.
Present.
Mr. Schuler is absent. Derek Stoneball. Andy Vasquez is absent.
All right, we're here. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.